Yeah, I would say starting at at the seminar, the takeaway word at the seminar was uncertainty, and it wouldn't surprise me at the end of the year when Webster's and Oxford are announcing their words of the year that uncertainty doesn't end up becoming the word. Here's maybe one forecast we might actually get right this year.
Welcome to Market Pulse on FleetOwner.com with Act Research. I'm Josh Fisher, an editor with FleetOwner, and I'm joined by Ken Vieth, president of Act Research. Ken, it's great to see you during these interesting times that we live in.
Yeah, well, likewise, Josh. Thanks for having me on today, and yeah, with probably no good answers given the interesting times we're in, or I guess maybe the right answer for all your questions, which I haven't heard yet, is what do you want it to equal? So.
This is like the Rorschach test of kind of read the market. It's like what do you see? Because I was with you out in Columbus back in February, and the real theme of your seminar there was the uncertainty as we awaited tariff impacts. We continue to await tariff impacts. But we're more than a couple months into the Trump administration, and this will he or won't he go through with tariff environment that's creating all this uncertainty. Is that uncertainty that we've now kind of getting used to almost? Is that creating some sort of evenness, or is it just I mean, I don't know what's your take on where we stand today?
Yeah, I would say starting at the seminar, the takeaway word at the seminar was uncertainty, and it wouldn't surprise me at the end of the year when Webster's and Oxford are announcing their words of the year that uncertainty doesn't end up becoming the word. Here's maybe one forecast we might actually get right this year. I think everybody we talk to, whether it's equipment buyers, whether it's dealers, whether it's suppliers, OEMs, leasing companies, there's almost a sense of paralysis in the marketplace, because you can't make a good business decision in a vacuum, and I think on again, off again, maybe I'm going to put them on, maybe we'll have some reciprocal tariffs, and it just goes on and on. It just makes for a situation where it's very difficult to invest.
And so it felt like if we didn't have the tariff situation, if we didn't have this uncertainty, it really felt like that freight recession was receding, that we were set up for 2025 to be a good year. I know your senior analyst, Tim DeNoyer, he's been tracking how private fleets have really taken a lot of freight from the more traditional for hire operators. Do you guys still see that happening here in 2025? Has that shift moved away? What are the indications that you have, ignoring the tariffs for now, and we can then layer them back on?
Yeah, it's always difficult to see perhaps in January and February because they are the two weakest retail sales months of the year. The good news in January and February is for the first time in over 3 years, we've actually seen U.S. Class 8 retail sales, U.S. Class 8 tractor retail sales fall below replacement levels. For the first time, since 2021, we've actually got, maybe it's incremental, but the fleet hasn't grown for the last 2 months, and it actually has contracted a few thousand units. We like to say, the first rule of holes is to stop digging. So finally we've got a point where maybe there's a little pullback in the amount of digging that the private fleets were doing, and burying the for-hire carriers in turn. We do believe that private fleets took 5 or 6 percentage points of market share from the for-hire fleets over the kind of the second half of 23 through 2024. Our sense is there's probably still some incremental growth in private fleet, but certainly not like it has been for the past 6 quarters or so. So we expect that to slow drastically in 2025.
What about the pre-buy? I know those of us in the trucking media have been covering that a lot, and you talk to some manufacturers, on the side, and they were all looking forward to the business that pre-buy before the 2027 EPA rules were going to take effect. And now, as there's been this big push to roll back regulations by Lee Zeldin's EPA and the overall Trump administration, is there still is that is and you just talked about how the replacement level sales are, or they're below replacement level. So is the pre-buy history, is that something that's not going to happen?
So maybe I'll preface my response. So I guess it's probably been about 10 days ago since Lee Zeldin came out and said that there's a reconsideration of the EPA's clean truck regulation going on right now. He didn't say it was going to that they were going to get rid of it. And I think what the industry is hoping for is as we look at the regulation, about 1/3 is technology, 2/3 is warranty extension, and so I think the hope, and maybe it's just hope at this point, but is that the Trump administration gets rid of the 2/3 that is warranty extension and keeps the 1/3 that's technology, and things can proceed apace. But again, with Zeldin coming out and saying we're reconsidering, that's just added more uncertainty in the short term. So if I was going to be pre-buying, now am I going to pre-buy? Yeah, and I will say, if I look over the past couple of years, I think part of the strength in private fleet sales in 2024 was in part OEM strategy, saying, the for-hire guys aren't making any money, and we want to maintain production levels at a good rate because we don't want a big dip in 2024, and then, demand explodes in 25 and 26, and the supply chain won't be able to catch up, and everybody will be disappointed, just like they were in 2021. So I think, the OEMs, the industry did a very good job of maintaining production at higher levels than we would have expected in 24 by selling tractors to private fleets. I think the vocational market in 2025 was serving much that same function of in the face of weak for-hire carrier profitability, turning to the vocational market, and you look at all the stimulus dollars that are still sitting out in the market, that vocational construction truck buyer, I think, could look out and feel very good about the go forward for them, and pulling some of that investment into 2025. And then the hope was that in 2026, the private fleets were sated in 24. They pulled forward some demand in 2025. You pulled forward some demand in the vocational market in 2026. Then you pull forward demand in the for-hire market, so you don't have kind of a big dip into 24 and a giant explosion into 2026 that creates a situation where you're building a lot of trucks and nobody's making a lot of money. So I think the industry has done a very good job in kind of orchestrating a very high level of production for the past few years, and kind of taking the top out of the potential for 2026. I think if I may, I'll add one more comment, and kind of speaking of the uncertainty that the Zeldin comments of I guess 2 weeks ago now. last week, so 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, the EPA announced changes are coming. 1 week ago, we sent out to our subscribers some alternative forecasts. So we came out with a no pre-buy forecast. We also came out with a recession forecast because your comment, I think your comment was spot on in that as we came into 2025, the question was, is the economy going to grow at 2% or is it going to grow at 2.5% in 2025 and 2026? So very good visibility into, a very healthy economy. And now, the economic question has gone from not is it going to be how strong is it going to be? It's that the question now is how weak is it going to be? And so we're now considering a recession case as certainly it's not our base case at this point, but there is considerable economic damage being done right now.
Is that damage reversible? Like, is there optimism for we're recording this on March 26th. The first quarter of the year is about to end. If we're talking in quarters, is the game lost already, or what do you see?
So my colleague Jim Meal, just this morning was, passed around a chart he was working on, the average tariff rate in the United States over the last 125 years. And I'm looking at the chart. I'm not looking at the data, but it looks like right now that as things stand, our tariff rate has gone from about 2% last year to about 8% now. And he's got a text box that says Fitch estimates tariffs on U.S. imports could hit an average of 18% if Trump follows through on all his remaining threats. Now, if the last time we were even close to 18% tariffs, you have to go all the way back to 1930 with the Smoot-Hawley Act. Where we decided that protectionism would help us get out of the Great Depression as opposed to pushing us farther into the Great Depression. So not to be horribly pessimistic. I think the question is, does the Trump administration how soon does the Trump administration figure out that this is a bad idea and starts to rescind policies? And so far, what we've heard, I think the president himself has said, something to the effect that we might have a recession or we're going to have slow growth in the long term, but the short term, but this is going to be good for us in the long term. And I think economists from Adam Smith on, I think would argue that tariffs are not good in either the short term or the long term, and especially in trying to bring jobs back into a demographically challenged U.S. economy. We just don't have a lot of warm bodies to bring a lot of low value added jobs back into the United States. So you're looking at increased inflation, higher interest rates. So less goods, more dollars for less goods.
Gee, Ken, you're really
Yeah,
brightening up my day.
yeah. I'm the life of the party these days.
Yeah, I'm sure. So before I let you go, since we've been harping so much on the troubles or the potential obstacles we have, can you just share maybe something positive or something optimistic that you're following this year? Give us a little a green shoot, a little light at the end of the tunnel.
So yes. So I never know what hat to put on. So if Class 8 tractor retail sales fall, it's bad for a large constituency of ACT research. the people that make the parts and the trucks. But in order for the industry to improve, in order for truckers to make money and be able to buy more trucks, you have to have this pause. And so, as I mentioned earlier, in January and February, for the first time in over 3 years, we're finally seeing U.S. Class 8 tractor retail sales falling below replacement levels. So we're finally getting a little shrinkage in the Class 8 tractor population, which should ultimately reflect well in carrier profits, allowing them to buy more trucks in the future. And then finally, I think an earlier comment is that coming into 2025, I mentioned, our internal debate was, is the economy going to grow 2% this year or 2.5% this year? And now is it going to grow 0.5 or 1.5 is kind of where we're thinking now. But along those lines, if you remove the uncertainty, U.S. consumers are still in very good shape. I think the balance sheets, are a little beaten up now, but still in decent shape, and consumers have good discretionary income has been very good, and then secondly, corporate profits have been strong. Coming into this year, the setup was very good for the economy. It's kind of gotten blown up a little bit in the last few months, but if there's a recognition, by the Trump administration to dial it back a little bit, it's not too late to start talking about 2% GDP in 2025.
Well, that's good. I'm going to take it as you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, well, there's also an assumption there that Donald Trump can change the script that he's been on, and kind of get a better handle on how the economy works and what tariffs actually do.
So we need to convince Trump that a plot twist is really in his and the country's best interest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And who doesn't love a plot twist more than the reality president?
Yeah, exactly. As I brought up Adam Smith earlier, and 249 years ago, Adam Smith wrote The Wealth of Nations, and in that book, kind of the seminal book of economics. He was talking 249 years ago about how balanced trade was a horrible idea. So, so here we are.
Here we are. What's the rush? Ken, great to talk to you. Always pick your brain and hear your thoughts. It's always a pleasure to spend a little time with you. So thank you for taking some time today.
Well, thank you, Josh, and always enjoy the conversation.
Cool. I hope to see you soon. And I hope spring shines on you down there in Columbus.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. It's coming.
Take care.